Hey guys, thanks for joining me. I'm a little under the weather today. Got a little bit of a stuffy nose slash runny nose, but I have been playing around with a lot of new products from Hard Candy in typical Hard Candy style. They've come out with a bunch all at once. So I wanted to go ahead and give you my little reviews on all of these things. Definitely a video where there are hits and misses and a few things in between. I'm gonna start out with this new Sheer Envy primer. It says Lift and Firm. So I actually am a fan of just the original Sheer Envy primer that they put out. I always thought it was really silky, just made that nice even texture to the skin before you put foundation on. And since that original, I feel like they've come out with quite a few versions of it, and this may just be the latest one. It says moisturizes, brightens, and tightens facial contours. And I'm not really sure how to take the description. It says it tightens facial contours so skin appears rested and relaxed. So it's tightening yet relaxing. I'm not sure. The lifting and firming, I'm not really sure I could notice anything happening like that. Like if I didn't look at the label on this primer and just put it on my face, all I would really think was that, okay, this is a nice nourishing kind of moisturizing primer. And it's kind of interesting because it is oil-free. So if you're looking for a good oil-free primer that still actually feels like it adds a little hydration to the skin, you might like this. I do love the way it kind of slips across the skin. I don't notice any brightening when I use this. That was another one of the claims, but it's an okay primer and it's good from the hydration standpoint. Another interesting thing that Hard Candy has come out with is the Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer Mist. It says 12-hour power, electrolytes, energize, and hydrate skin. This is oil-free, silicone-free, and alcohol-free, and you get 2.2 fluid ounces here. I've tried a couple of different primer mists, and to me, you know, they just seem like interchangeable with a lot of the different facial mists that are out there. Like you could sub in just about anything and get the similar effect is the way I've felt about these. This is actually one of the few mists that I've tried where I really do feel an added hydrated effect even after I've put it on and let it kind of sit there on the skin, because obviously you could spend all day like spritzing it on your skin and wow, I feel hydrated. How about that? But when you just do a few mists of this on your skin and then let it sink in and touch your face, you can still feel that hydration on there. So today when I put this on, I obviously used it after that other primer, but I have used it alone to really see exactly what it's doing. And I do like 4 mists of this. I kind of go center of the face and then each side, and even after letting that sit on there for about a minute, you can still kind of touch your face and it just has a different level of hydration. And part of this, I think, there is a cat behind me. And part of the reason for the hydrated feeling, I think, is because glycerin is so high on the ingredients list. It's the first thing after water in this product. So it does give the skin that little added moisture boost, but I don't think it really helped my foundation go on any more smoothly or evenly. As far as the 12-hour claim, I really think that's kind of hard to gauge, especially when you've got various other products on your skin, like a regular moisturizer, like a foundation, and whatever else there might be. One thing that I did notice about this, as a rehydrating mist, like to spray it later in the day or to make the skin look dewy by using a mist. This mist with a minimal amount of sprays actually seems to make the most impact on the skin in terms of making it look dewy. Like after makeup application or later on in the day, I can really see what this has done. So for me, this is probably one of the most moisture-packed sprays that I've tried. Then we've got a couple of little tins here. One is the Contour and Sculpt Kit. I have it in light to medium. It also came in a deeper shade option, and the Strobing Kit, which just came in 1 shade. And with this Contour Kit, you get 2 powder products and 3 creams, and as far as packaging goes, it's kind of a plasticky insert here, but actual pans of product are sitting right here. And then the brush, it's a flat top brush for this Contour Kit, kind of nice and soft and dense, but the other side is really strange. It's just this little brush cut at an angle, but it has a lot of unevenness on mine. Like it's kind of, there's a little chunk out of the side over here. Looks like it's been kind of dipped down into, which with whatever method they've used to cut this. So really like a chunky, odd looking little brush on that end. And today I did use this cream contour shade, and I do think the tone of it is pretty good. You know, it's kind of on the cool side, and I picked it up with this brush. I applied it with the brush, and it took a little work to blend out. I won't say it's the hardest thing ever to blend out on your skin, but it definitely took more work, and I had a little more difficulty with it than I did with the e.l.f. Contour Kit, which I think just had really nice, smooth, easy to blend out shades. And then I used this lighter color that's a little bit more on the peachy side. I used that kind of under my contour and a little bit over, like on the cheekbone area, to brighten and lift a little bit. And some of these things you might even choose to go like really light on your foundation and just use these more as like coverage products. I feel like this lighter shade over here might have just a bit of a satin finish, but everything else in here is matte. Other than the texture of these being a little bit drier than I would have liked, it's kind of between the NYX palette that I talked about recently, the NYX Cream Contour palette that was really, really dry, and the e.l.f. is over here being very rich and creamy. This kind of lies right in the middle for me. But another thing I wasn't super huge on was the tone of this powder product here, which I think is very, very warm, even for a bronzer, you know? So using that, or thinking you might top off your contour with that product, or just warm up the skin as a whole, yeah, it'll really warm you up, but I think it's pretty orangey. And this shade works okay for me in terms of like a powder brightener type product, although if you're very, very fair, this is so peachy, I kind of wonder if you'll get a lot of impact on that if you're like the fairest of the fair. So I was happy to try this, but it's really not a love for me. I think there are just so many contouring products on the market, you've got to really step your game up. But this Strobing Kit, I actually thought this was pretty cool. I liked the brush that they included. I really liked all the products that were inside as well, although it strikes me more as just being like a blush and contour palette. You know, everything that's come out these days that has the contour, the blush, and the highlights. It's really just that kind of a thing, except they do include a very usable brush, and they include like a liquid highlight as well. This little brush I am so happy with. I mean, I would use this a lot of times for a highlight, but you know, it works for contour. It really works for every product in this palette. It's soft, it's a nice cut, it seems to be good quality. So while today I used a couple of the cream products in my look from that palette, I also wanted to show you some of these in action. So I used the contour shade to kind of top off my cream contour, and I really enjoy this color. It's not too dark, it's not too light, it just really works well for my skin tone, and it is totally matte. There's also a nice matte, kind of deep peachy blush in here that I think is just beautiful, and I love that if they're going to give you all these shimmery things up here, you've got a blush that's going to be matte, and it's not like shimmer overload all over your face. The two powder highlights, one is more golden, one's a little bit more of a deep peachy shade, and then they give you this Strobing Glow All the Way Face and Body Cream Luminizer, just a mini size, and I've used Glow All the Way in a couple of different shades that they have. They tend to be very metallic, but this shade, when you squeeze it out, it appears to be white, but when you totally shear it out on the skin, it's like you see this sort of pinkish peach, very light shimmer, and once I blend it out, it's practically like that totally disappears. Like it's extremely subtle. Like you've really got to be looking close to notice that that's been put on your skin. I think for the purposes of this kit, what it did for me was it gave my skin a little extra maybe dewiness in texture, to where when I use this powder highlight on top, it had a little something to stick to. I do think both of these shades are really strong highlights though. Like I said, I used the lighter of the two, and I thought it really does catch the light. And again, this brush worked well for everything. So I did enjoy that Strobing Kit, although it's not just about highlighting. You do get the contour and the blush. Don't expect a lot from this liquid, but all in all, including that brush, I think it's kind of a nice value. Now there's yet another contouring product in Hard Candy's line, and it's the Highlight and Contour Face Stick. I believe this came in some other shades as well, and you've got your dark, matte, kind of cool toned side here. I have it in the shade Light, and then the other end is matte as well. It's just kind of like a light concealer is what it makes me think of. This is the packaging that it comes in, and then on the back it kind of guides you through where to put the contour and the highlight, and so you could just sweep this directly onto the face and then blend it out with a brush. The other day when David was here, he used this on me to contour, and he really just, you know, put it everywhere. He was going under the jawline. He just had it all over, and he really liked it. He said it was a nice tone, and then a couple days later I went to use it, and I found it kind of difficult to blend out. Again, I think I've been spoiled by, where is it? This little e.l.f. contour palette, the cream contour, but this works so well, and the shades are so effortless to blend out when you put them over a foundation. There's no extra work, and this I found to be even more dry than the shades, the cream shades in this little palette here. So just a heads up, I mean, it's kind of a nice concept, and I do think the colors, the tones are on point. For me, when I used a brush to blend this out, I felt like I was having to do a little bit too much work and apply too much pressure. So the other day when I was using this, I actually brought in a damp beauty blender, and that helped a little bit, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not ideal for me. Hard Candy also released a line of cheeky tints. They're called Sheer Blush Gels, and there were quite a few shades that this came in, and I got the reddish one, and it says a water light gel blush that has all day staying power, incredibly easy to blend, mistake proof. I don't know that it's totally mistake proof, but I will say it's very easy to blend because it doesn't set too quickly on the skin. Don't get me wrong, it does eventually set and stain, but like you have a second to work with it. Sometimes with Benetint, I feel like you dab your dots onto your cheek, and before you can even put the dang thing down, like that's starting to set on the skin. I love the effect of it, but you've got to work so quickly. This is, I think, a little more foolproof. It's definitely easier to blend than I expected, even easier than that product I mentioned, that stain from the Wantable box the other day. Like, I don't absolutely have to use my e.l.f. small stipple brush with this. I can just use my fingers. This is a really pretty, fresh red shade, like a warm red. As you shear it out, you know, it does definitely leave a stain. I can see the stain there on my finger. You can build up the color more on your cheeks if you want to. Hard Candy has a new brow product. It's called Brow Ink. It's a 24-hour brow stain, they say, and I have it in medium dark. The packaging, I think, is very cute here. You just twist out the applicator, and it's a teensy brush. There is a very small spiral, and I love this. I really think this is so cool because the product on the wand is basically undetectable. Like, you can hardly tell anything's there. But then you start going through your brows and you're like, oh, I can feel the hold. You know, you can tell that there is color laying down there. There is hold happening. And unlike every other brow gel on the market, I actually feel like I can use this little tip and more precisely fill in where I want to. I'm surprised they didn't even include that in the claims, like that you could use the very tippy tip of this brush, and like if you've got a scar like I do, or just one little place that really needs some attention, you can just use that little tip and it won't be too much. So the way I like to use this is first get the bulk of your color on like more the center part of your brow, and then pull that through to the end of your brow. So once you've unloaded a little bit of product, not that this is very loaded up with product, but once you've gotten some off of there, then you can go in and work on the inner part of your brow and not get too much on. But this really is one of the few things that operates as such an all-in-one for me, because I get the brush through, I get the hold, but I also get the fill-in and just the simplicity of it, the speed of it. It's really nice. Now, an eye product that I hate this. I picked it up and I should have known better. I mean, I should have known that I wouldn't like it. It's the Bold and Gorgeous Dare to Flick Felt Tip Eyeliner in Blackest Black, and I don't know if it was just the color of the pen drew me in, and I'm like, I'm intrigued, I want to try it, but look at this. Why? Brands, why are we messing with the shape of our felt tip liners and doing goofy stuff like this that makes a way too thick line across the lashes? Let's just go straight to the demo here, because you've got to be operating off of the absolute tip of this product to get a fine line. Otherwise, you will get a line that is exactly as thick as this little egg-shaped felt tip is, and I ended up with a line that was way thicker than I wanted. I did not feel like this made winging things out any easier at all. Not to mention the fact that when moisture comes in contact with this, it breaks down pretty quickly. I mean, if you're looking for something that makes lining easy, if you're trying to practice with liquid liner, I would really suggest getting the Physicians Formula pen, the Eye Booster pen, which is actually a brush tip. It really like follows the curve of your eye. It makes sense. You know, it's just easy to apply. It's easy to do a wing with that. With this, you've got to be like working right off the very tip if you want a fine line. And even then, like, I'm not seeing the product lay down as well. So then you're tempted to lay it on its side and whoa, then you've got a massive thick line happening there. I mean, it's like marker thick. I don't get it. Now we're gonna end this video on a high note. Hard Candy has these new Velvet Mousse matte lip colors, and they come in these tins, and all of the tins are different. I have Cherry Blossom, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know why they did this. I don't know why having a little tin for your liquid lip color is absolutely necessary. I guess the one practical thing about it is that there is a mirror on the inside, so that's kind of cool. But talking about the product itself, I really, really like it. It is actually matte. There have been a couple of other brands, I think either Maybelline or L'Oreal, maybe both. I need to spend more time with it because I'm not real familiar yet. But I remember putting on some other matte products and thinking, they're not matte at all. Now granted, you can apply these products, blot them off, and they'll look a whole lot more matte, but you have wasted some product in that process. This one actually does dry matte. It does so pretty quickly after you apply it. It's not completely transfer resistant, and that's not a total requirement for me, but I'm just pointing that out in case that was what you were expecting. Obviously it feels more dry on the lips than like a creamy lipstick would, but it's not overly drying. Like, it's not uncomfortable for me. Now I regularly exfoliate my lips. I treat them with balms when I'm not wearing other lip products, so that I think can make a difference for how comfortable a matte lip color is going to feel on top of your lips. You want to put them in the best condition possible to receive that matte lip product. But I was so pleased with how this wore throughout the day, didn't drift outside the lip line, and wore so surprisingly evenly. And I have worn this on like 3 or 4 different occasions to check this, but it wears like, it doesn't look patchy as it wears off. It doesn't like peel off of my lips. It's like after 5-6 hours, it looks like this color just kind of lightened up a little bit across the board. You know, it just really looks great. I would buy more of this for sure. This Cherry Blossom shade is just a beautiful, like kind of pinky reddish rose type color. I also really like the applicator. It's nice and flat. One side, when you pull it out, one side is holding some product, and the other side seems to be basically free of product, so that's nice to kind of neaten up your line without applying too much to the lips. And that, my friends, wraps up my little Hard Candy haul and reviews. Again, something I liked. I enjoyed the Strobing Kit. I thought most of what was in there worked really well. This Hydrating Primer Mist, one of the most hydrating facial mists that I've tried, that with minimal mists actually makes the skin look pretty dewy. This Lift and Firm Primer I'm kind of so-so on. Like, I might have to use it longer to feel like I'm noticing some of the effects it claims to have, but it felt nice on the skin and I'll continue using it, but I just don't feel like it's really changing my life, you know? Wasn't a huge fan of the Contour and Sculpt Kit. Again, I found the creams to be a little on the dry side and I didn't love the tone of that powder either. The brush for me, I mean, maybe the brush you get will be cut perfectly even, but that was a little strange on mine. The stick I found to be kind of dry and a little difficult to blend, and absolutely would not recommend this liner. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I hope this video helped you out, and I will see you soon. Bye.